amazing intro I was going to do.
Oh,
Anyway.
you're assuming you had a train of thought. You didn't. Your train of thought is like a broken down steam engine that is like barely getting out of the station.
So on that note, that's why I drink, because of the amazing friendship of Brian, who, just insults me. And I cry to Chuck, and we make it better with bourbon. But tonight we're
Just made that weird.
I know, that's my goal in life. Tonight we are going to drink the brand new Maker's Mark release of 2021. It is FAE-01. And the good news is it is finally Chuck's time to shine. One, he's got good internet connection, hopefully for the next 25 minutes, which is how long it's going to take him to explain this. And
Strap in.
Yeah, so
strap in like you're strapping into a sports car, people.
Yep, it's got to do with chemistry stuff and all that stuff. But real quick, I'm going to introduce this. So Maker's Mark in the last 3 years, has started doing limited releases. And they do to show off their stave profiles. So it's the wood finish series. In 2019, they did RC6. Last year, they did the PR5 SE4, whatever it's called. It was a weird name. This year for 2021, they went back to good names, which is FAE-01, which is the spring release. And in fall, if you look, they're going to release FAE-02. They've always been, so far, great releases, pretty readily available if you know when they're going to get released. So once you start seeing them hit shelves in spring, chances are you're going to be able to find a bottle. But then once they sell it, they're gone. So it's a good release in the fact that it definitely shows off some of the cool things Maker's Mark can do, and it's readily available during that time, and it's a decent price. You're talking $60 right around there. So now for Chuck's big moment to shine on why it's called FAE-01.
So FAE stands for fatty acid esters. So I had to go back into my chemistry days. I'm a biologist by trade, but had to, had some courses. So I was reading up on fatty acid esters, and it's a popular term or popular labeling now in bourbon is, the non-chill filtered. Some people seek them out. Four Roses just came out with small batch select. I say just, that was probably over a year ago, which was it's stamped right on the top of the neck, says non-chill filtered. So what does that mean? So the non-chill filtered, that kind of leaves some of these long chain fatty acid ester molecules that it doesn't filter them out. And what those give you is especially that oily mouthfeel. It also, they interact with the wood. And so it does give you some other flavor components or aromas, but primarily it's that oily mouthfeel that comes through that. So that's kind of what you get, or what you expect with some of these non-chill filtered bourbons. Is that a good thing? Some of us would say yes. As most things in bourbon, depending on your palate, or it's not always the case, there is the other side of the coin. So people, distillers like Michter's, they chill filter everything. And obviously some of their products are fantastic, right? They have some pretty strong opinions about that. So chill filtering has been around for ages. One of the things, removing those fatty acid esters, those long chain fatty acids, those tend to, when it gets cold, those congeal and then will make the bottle cloudy. So some of it's an appearance thing. So you don't want this cloudy bottle of bourbon sitting on a shelf. And especially if you go back way back in the years, that could have indicated something else was in the bourbon as well. Because, if you know the history of bourbon, they used to mix lots of things with the alcohol, hence the Bottle and Bond Act of 1897. So that cloudiness was really a negative. And so that's probably really what led to the development of chill filtering. But there's some really great chill filtered bourbons. Michter's, Rare Breed, which we're all a fan of, right? That's chill filtered from Wild Turkey. Knob Creek's, a lot of the bean products are chill filtered. But a lot of the barrel strength, small batch distilleries are non-chill filtered. So that's where the FAE, that's what the name is. That was probably more than you wanted to know.
It's science.
I was going to say, so if you don't science well, then, or good, you say, I see an F on the front I see a 1 on the back. I just think F1 McLaren. I think we should start just naming this the F1 McLaren. Last year's we called the R2D2. Let's just call this the F1 McLaren. Call it a day. No science needed.
And back to the bourbon stuff, because people care about the bourbon. Most of Maker's
They
Mark
don't
stuff,
care about F1 McLarens. Okay.
if I remember right, most of the Maker's Mark products are chill filtered, which is what makes this so special, because this is their first non-chill filtered product that they've done. And they even said in the press release and everything like that, the reason they did leave it non-chill filtered is that they want to bring all those barrel characteristics out on this release. Because right now in bourbon, there's two big movements going on, which is a lot more bourbon drinkers want barrel strength products, so the higher proof stuff, and they want non-chill filtered. That's why Weller suddenly started doing Weller Full Proof, because it was a non-chill filtered, weeded, full proof bourbon. So it hits all those marks, which is why it's impossible to find. Also because it has Weller on the label. But again, so that means, like, if you think about it, this is basically along the same lines. It's a full proof product, it's weeded, and it's non-chill filtered. So it hits all three of those marks, but you can actually find this one. So all right, on the nose, it is absolutely delightful. You get a whole bunch of the red fruit right up front. You get a little bit of maybe vanilla back there, and then you start to get some of that barrel spice, I would say.
And I would say, I feel like I'm getting more than just a little bit vanilla. I'm getting a pretty solid vanilla flavor in there. It's not overpowering, but just nice. Very nice start to finish.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about the stave profile that was unique was one side is toasted, one side is left untoasted. So you're getting the oak that you're getting through on the nose isn't an old oak. It's not like what you'd expect from a 15-year-old Pappy. It's a younger wood.
I would say on the palate, it's definitely a lot spicier than I remember, which is great, because the first time I had it, I was like, oh man, this is 110 proof. It drinks like 100 proofer. Tonight, it is drinking totally like that 110 plus proof. I get spice. It lets you know there's some ethanol in it. You get a nice warm finish. But the cool thing is it's not your black pepper spice. It is definitely like a barrel spice, because it's little bits of oak in there. Maybe nutmeg, things like that. It's just not your standard black pepper.
Yeah, again, I think that toasted, the stave kind of comes through in the palate, so you're getting some of that toast. The finish is fantastic to me. It's just, and some of it's probably coming from that non-chill filter. It's just like it really coats the mouth well. It's just the entire mouth, this entire tingling sensation and experience with the flavor.
Yeah, I might be off on this, but I almost feel like that tingling, like that finish for me just lasts for days.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's cinnamon. I don't know if that's what you guys are thinking.
Yeah.
Like combined with, like TJ was saying, a little bit of that, like more of that barrel spice cinnamon mixture. And kind of as I was tasting it, I felt like I maybe get a little bit of cinnamon in the middle in the palate, than just, for me at least, I feel like that cinnamon just carries through and only increases all the way through the finish. And that's kind of my last note on my tongue, is just dancing cinnamon on the tongue.
All right, we ready to put some numbers to this thing?
Absolutely.
All right, who's going to start it off with the nose?
I'm giving the nose a 3.
So, Brian,
just looking for rage?
I was going to say, Brian's
like, are we going to have another Dickel Bottle and Bond versus Old Foe moment? Charlie's just going to flip out. Like, I'm just going to start chucking stuff that's near me.
So apparently Brian's F1 stands for Ford Fusion, not for an F1.
I did that purely for reaction. I totally did that for reaction.
I think we bullied him into submission.
And isn't that the point? No, I'm not rating anything on this at 3. This
3, 2, 5.
Yeah. 3.25 exactly. No, this is a strong 3.5. I don't know if it's quite 4 territory, although I'm open to conversation there. But yeah, this is a very strong 3.5. Easy on the nose.
I'll go next. I'm at a 4. I think this is just delightful. I love the sweet, and then it kind of transitions into the toast. Yeah, and I think what's interesting, and I know we're on the nose right now, but I just love that transition, how it gives you this sweet, and then the back end of the finish is just it's that spice. You don't get that on the nose at all. It's just like these two different experiences between the nose and the finish.
Yeah. And I'm going to say a 4 on the nose, but I will say this one caveat is if you don't like smelling fruit on your bourbon, red fruit or anything like that, then it's not going to be a good nose for you. I enjoy that smell. So, and it's got tons of other things in there besides that, but the red fruit note is definitely the predominant note in the nose. So I will say that on the caveat. If you don't like that, it's not the nose for you. But yeah, for me, it's a 4. And then I'll go straight into the palate. That is also a 4. Like, it is delightful. It goes from that wonderful nose, hits you with a little bit of sweetness, and then hits you with all these spicy notes going down into the finish. So
4.
Yeah, I'm at a 4 on the palate as well. Absolutely delicious. It's not just that there's nothing bad. It's absolutely enjoyable. That spice, a little bit of sweet mix, is great. And I'll go straight into the finish. And I'm going bold on the finish. 4.5.
Oh,
4.5 on the finish. Going bold. I love it. It dances on your tongue for days. You get the cinnamon, like it's absolutely stupendous. It's still there. I've been talking a while, and it's still.
For once,
dancing
Brian
on
was
the
almost at a
tongue.
loss for words. He just goes,
Yeah.
That's how good it was. It took Brian's breath away.
I'll be honest. The nose was probably the lower end for me. Once again, not a 3, was 3.5. But it just goes and. If you're not giving this a 4.5 on the finish, what are you giving a 4.5 on?
Well, so I will do it so Chuck doesn't have to, so he can keep his integrity. I will agree with Brian on this and give it a 4.5 on the finish for the same thing that he's saying. Like like how we rate these things, like it's got to be a good finish for us to instantly go 3. There's got to be something special to get it to a 3.5. It really has to be special and last a long time to get to the 4. But this one, not only does it last a long time and have multi complexity and depth and everything like that, it has that little thing extra that it makes you want to keep drinking and bring you back to it. And you're like, oh, it couldn't have been that good. And so you go back. It pulls you in. So that's why I'm going to go 4.5 on it.
Yeah. So when the finish even begins to fade, it draws you back into like, drink me more. Loving it. Charlie, you're gonna hate on this. You're gonna be like, oh, it's a 3. You guys are crazy for 4.5. You're gonna get all crazy on us. But finish. You get the sweet, you get some kick, it dives down a little bit, but then it pitter patters into more cinnamon. Phenomenal.
All right, it's
Go ahead,
Chuck's
Charlie.
turn.
My turn.
Yep.
Unbelievable. This feels like the last presidential debate that we had. Like, I can't get any time. It's like, good grief, what is going on here? I'm gonna be polite. It's as you continue to drink it, some of these notes kind of come through, and I get this toasted almond nut right as you transition into the finish. I think it's part of the finish. Obviously, always that distinction. So you're putting something that's continuum into a discrete categories, but yeah, I mean, I can go with you guys. Obviously, you already rated it 4.5, so it doesn't matter what I say, but I think that's fair.
I would say for the integrity of our viewers, they want to see what you truly believe, not that you agree with us. So,
well, you guys can appreciate this. When you, especially like 4.5 starts to put it in rarefied air. So like there's something inside of me that says, well, I got to blind it off with was something that we've previously rated a 4.5 to see if it really does hang. From the things that I've tasted this evening in my palate, I'm at a 4.5. So I'm interested. I have the rest of this bottle to do some fun blind offs.
Yeah, and that takes us directly into the final overview of what we think, and I can pretty much guarantee what it is for Chuck and I, which is a hunt, because we both have backup bottles already, and I've already debated about getting a third backup bottle. They dropped it at our Costco the other day for a rare $45, and it's like, how do you say no at that point? As we've said with previous Maker's Mark limited editions, like, it's always a hunt for us. But this is probably the best of everything we've had. And this one guarantees that when FAE-02 drops in the fall, I will be trying to buy it that day, without a doubt.
Yeah, we've had, TJ, I think you and I both have the Maker's 46 cash strength that was limited edition last year. Or you had the RC6. I don't. We tasted that, and then the SE4 PR5, which I thought all of those were fantastic. The Maker's 46 cash strength might be my favorite of those three. This puts them all to shame.
Mm-hmm.
This is fantastic. So yeah, and if Costco selling for $45, that is probably, I normally say Elijah Craig barrel proof if you can find it at, I think I bought the batch A121 this year for 55.
Yeah.
I think that's the best value in bourbon. This at 45 might be it.
This at
Absolutely.
50.
Like I was thinking, I don't know if there's a better thing on the shelf you can actually find at this price point anywhere.
Yeah. Yes, this is, without a doubt, this is in contention for one of the top bottles of 2021. Maybe only to be dethroned by FAE-02. Who knows? Which we will review in the future when we get it. So with that being said, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button, so that way you know when we actually review FAE-02. Because, I mean, I guess it could be a dud, though, if you look at their track record. I'm not thinking so. So once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Stay neat.
Our bourbon.